Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived in Cairo after participating in the United Nations General Assembly meetings in New York. Upon his arrival in Cairo, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi made remarks to the television where he said that Egypt is a strong country by its people. President al-Sisi asserted that the Egyptians cannot be deceived and praised the awareness of the Egyptian people, adding that there is no need to worry. The president also stressed the important role of the media outlets in raising the public awareness amid the continued attempts to reverse the real development in the country. Here are the president's full remarks.
Why you're here? Why you're here now? Yes. You return back peacefully. It be the biggest deterrent for the terrorists and the agents. What would you like to say? I would like to say good morning first. And why is so early here? It's a Friday. It's not really worth it. And you should know that. The Egyptian people was very aware and how to create the picture to deceive the reality and to deceive the people. What have been done before, and you're already aware, and they never succeeded. Why? Because of the Almighty God and because of you. Do not have to worry about Sabah. Good morning. Hopefully it was a successful visit, and the Egyptian participation of the UN General Assembly, and of course there was some sort of a respect from the world leaders. And how do they see the Egypt, the new Egypt here? Everything is doing great for their eye, and I can see that you are listening to what's happening, and believe me, you have to deal with it in a realistic way. This is not actually the real picture. Some sort of the distortion and the electronic messages just to introduce an unrealistic and pictures, and well, very strong, God willing, with you. The calls for protest and what they are doing, unfortunately, we can call it, it's very mean by the terrorists. What is your message to them? We've already talked about it a week before we traveled to the UN, and I say to the Egyptians, do not feel afraid. They will not let you succeed. They will not live even peacefully. It's only a small group vis-a-vis the whole people. How would it be? Believe it? And of course, the media has a great role to raise the awareness of the different people. The ordinary people, and they are fully understand the story very well. The positions of Egypt by you willing. We know it's a great honor to receive you here, and many thanks to you. So what it is being done is the benefit for the Egyptians, and we hope and pray to the Almighty God to preserve you. Amen. And of course, how can you see the cheerful and joy of the Egyptians? I say to the Egyptians, so it was the same with the mandate of the 3rd of July. It was a message for the whole world, for the million to talk to the street. And thank you very much. Peace be upon you.
During his week-long visit to the United States, President Sisi also held a number of meetings with the world leaders, in addition to the prominent political and economic figures. The official account of President Sisi on Facebook published a summary of the outcome of his visit that included meetings with the world leaders and the prominent figures. The president also attended the United Nations High-Level Forum on Sustainable Development and the high-level meeting on the healthcare coverage, in addition to the president's address before the United Nations General Assembly. President Sisi also met a number of leading figures of the American society, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and the head of the World Bank, David Malpass. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi praised the Egyptian heroes who sacrificed their souls to defend the country on Friday. On his social media accounts, the president said that terrorism is trying to destroy the country, adding that the Egyptian army is the shield that will defend Egypt against terrorists. President al-Sisi also said that the battle of combating terrorism has not finished and will not be finished without the Egyptians' will to eradicate it. The General Command of the Armed Forces issued a statement on the latest successes in combating terrorism. The statement said that the Air Forces destroyed 33 hideouts as well as 7 4x4 vehicles used by the terrorist elements. The Army and the police forces killed 118 terrorists, and the military engineers foiled 273 explosives. 37 vehicles and 42 motorcycles were also destroyed. Meanwhile, the border guards confiscated tons of drugs. 1 officer and 9 soldiers were martyred and injured during the operations. Front and 25 on the Southern Strategic Front.
في إطار استكمال جهود القوات المسلحة
in line with the efforts of the armed forces and the police forces to combat terrorism on every strategic front in the past period and until today, the following successes were reported. The Air Forces targeted and destroyed 33 hideouts used by terrorists. Plus destroying 7 4x4 vehicles on the northeastern borders. And 83 vehicles on the western strategic front. And 25 vehicles on the southern strategic front. Implementing operations resulting in killing 118 terrorists, found in their possession different rifles and firearms and bullets and bombs ready to be used in North and Central Sinai. The Armed Forces military engineers detonated 273 explosive devices planted to target our forces, and discovering and destroying 11 tunnel holes in
مع
cooperation
قوات حرس الحدود.
with the border
ضبط
guards.
وتدمير 37 سيارة
37 vehicles
و42 دراجة
and
نارية
42
بدون
motorcycles
لوحات معدنية
without
تستخدمها
license
العناصر
plates
الإرهابية.
were discovered and
اكتشاف
destroyed,
وتدمير
which
عدد
were used by
من
terrorists.
المخابئ والأوكار
A number of
لإيواء العناصر
hideouts
الإرهابية
used by
عثر
terrorists
بداخلهم
were
على
destroyed
كميات من
after
مواد
being
الإعاشة
discovered.
وعدد من الأسلحة والذخائر
After discovering
مختلفة الأعيرة وعدد
firearms
من أجهزة
and
الاتصال.
bullets.
واستكمالا للمهام القتالية تواصل
And in
القوات
line
الخاصة البحرية تأمين
in the same
المسطح
efforts,
المائي أمام مناطق العمليات
the Navy
بمسرح
forces
عمليات البحرين
continue securing
المتوسط والأحمر لتأمين
the
الأهداف
operation
الاقتصادية
areas in the
وتفعيل إجراءات
Mediterranean
الأمن
Sea
البحري
and the Red Sea to
داخل
be
مياهنا
securing the
الإقليمية.
strategic and the economic targets
كما
of
تمكنت
Egypt
قوات
in the
حرس
regional
الحدود
waters.
على كافة الاتجاهات الاستراتيجية من تحقيق
The
النجاحات
border
الآتية.
guards
ضبط
on
15
every strategic
بندقية
front also
آلية
succeeded
وثلاثة رشاشات
in
و24
locating
خزنة
15
وعدد من الطلقات
firearms and the
مختلفة
number
الأعيرة
of bullets
وقاذفين RPG. ضبط
plus 2 missiles of
2441
RPG
كيلوغراما من جوهر الحشيش
and
المخدر
2,441 kilograms of
وضبط
hash
6265
were confiscated,
كيلوغراما
as well as
من نبات البانجو، بالإضافة إلى 20
6,265
كيلوغراما
kilograms
من مادة الأفيون المخدر
of
وضبط
different narcotics and drugs,
1,562,086 قرص مخدر
as well as
اكتشاف وتدمير
156,286
فدانا من نبات الخشخاش
tablets of narcotics and drugs.
1268
25
كيلوغراما
fadans
من بذور الخشخاش والبانجو
used to be
و23 عربة
planting
تستخدم
hash
في أعمال
and
التهريب.
narcotics and drugs
ضبط
were
50
destroyed,
جهازا يستخدم للتنقيب عن المعادن
as well as
كذلك إحباط محاولة
1,268 kilograms of hash
و71 فردا من
on
جنسيات
the
مختلفة
illegal
على
migration
كافة
front.
الاتجاهات الاستراتيجية للبلاد. ونتيجة للأعمال
110,071
القتالية الباسلة
people were
للقوات
prevented
المسلحة بمناطق العمليات
from
تم
reaching
استشهاد
different
وإصابة
destinations
ضابط و9 جنود
from Egypt.
أثناء الاشتباك وتنفيذ أعمال التفتيش
Through these
بالكمائن
operations,
على الطرق ومداهمة
an officer
البؤر
and 9
الإرهابية.
soldiers were martyred,
وتؤكد القوات المسلحة والشرطة
and the armed forces and the police continue to be
على جذور الإرهاب
ensuring
وتوفير الأمن
their efforts to be combating
لشعب
terrorism
مصر العظيم.
and providing security and stability. Egyptians defied calls for spreading chaos and kept gathering on the key squares and streets in support rallies for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. In Cairo's Nasr City neighborhood, thousands flooded to the memorial of the unknown soldier with banners "No to Chaos" and "No to Terrorism." Elsewhere in the Nile Delta Governorate of Ash-Sharqiyya, a large demonstration brought together people under the banner of "No to Chaos" and called for maintaining the nation's security and stability under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi against all attempts to sabotage. In Upper Egypt's Beni Suef Governorate, the Egyptians organized a rally in support for the country's stability, voicing the absolute rejection for calls by the powers of evil to destroy the country. Similar marches were also held in Alexandria and the Canal cities. The crowds expressed the full confidence in the leadership and extreme rejection of calls which aim only to hurt the national security. On the sidelines of the 74th United Nations General Assembly meetings in New York, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry held meetings with a number of his counterparts and attended ministerial talks on Syria and Iraq. Shoukry held a meeting with his Dutch, Greek, Cypriot and Finnish counterparts. The meetings tackled boosting bilateral relations as well as issues of common concern. Meanwhile, the foreign minister attended a ministerial meeting on Syria. In remarks at the meeting, the Egyptian top diplomat reiterated Cairo's firm stance on the Syrian crisis and hailed the recent announcement of the formation of the Syrian Constitutional Committee. Shukri also stressed the necessity of combating terrorism and foreign militias operating on Syrian soil. During his participation in a meeting tackling the Libyan crisis, Shukri reaffirmed the Egyptian commitment to reach a political solution to the Libyan crisis. He also called on the conflicting parties to return to the negotiating table in a bid to hammer out a peaceful solution to the country's crisis to achieve Libyan unity, security, and stability. The American administration